Okay. All right.
There you go.
Thanks. All right, I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting of Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. It is, the chair was very late. It is 1:04 p.m. and we are live on a digital platform. We have 5 items on today's agenda, and I think we're going to take them in order. I know Mayor Slaughter said that he had to depart by 2 o'clock, but I don't see any reason that we can't get there in time, since we can't get done with his items in time, even if we do the appointments first. Present here at today's meeting, we have myself and Randy Allison from the Finance Committee. And then we have, I see from the administration, Gary Narr, likely Peg Woodring, Mayor Slaughter, Chris Black, who is always required to be here. And Mayor Slaughter, I assume that is Sid going to be here, or?
Sid can't make it today. He's out of town, but he'll be at council on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. And Chad Stafford is here in regards with Dewberry?
No, he's with Wawa.
He's with Wawa. Okay, great. Sorry. So then I've got Chad Stafford from Wawa present as well at today's meeting. Okay. All right. Then we'll kick it off with appointments, which we have, I guess, just one of today. An appointment to the Water and Sewer Authorities of Nancy Eichscheid. Is it Eichscheid or Eichscheid? I'm so sorry. I should know that.
Yeah, Eichscheid. She's
yeah.
It took me 2 years to pronounce that, Liz, so don't worry. I answered to Nancy or anything except late for dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, I always answer to late, but I try not to be quite as late as I was today, at least not to online meetings, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, Ms. Eichscheid is up for an appointment to the Water and Sewer Authorities with a 5-year term commencing immediately upon appointment. I see. Mayor Slaughter, what can you tell us about this?
Yep. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Mealy and Councilman Allison. You have before you appointment to the Water and Sanitary Authorities, Nancy Eichscheid, who's longstanding member of our community, worked at Chamber for many years, Chief Financial Officer, and she can talk more about that, and various other roles in and around the community. She has been interested in joining the board, approached me about it, and I've had other board members and folks at the Water Authority approach me about her appointment. I've spoken with her. She's aware of the commitment. She has an understanding of the Water and Sewer Authorities and the requirement there, and various projects they have going on, and believes that she would be, and I do too, a good member of the board. Obviously Nancy is here. You can answer questions that you all have related to that, related to other areas of her community involvement.
Okay. Thanks, Derek. So Nancy, I'm sure that you were made aware of this, but this isn't, obviously we are not appointing you today. We're just kind of having a conversation with you about the responsibilities of the Water Authority Board. And then if you plan to be present on Thursday, of course, at the council meeting, you could potentially represent yourself in that setting, but more or less Randy and I can carry forward, what we discussed today to Thursday's meeting. My understanding from the Water Authority actually is that they would very much like to have you appointed to their board, which is exciting, and that you are also eager to serve on the board, and that too is exciting. That is a board I'm sure you've been told that has at times taken a relatively significant time commitment. But I think that you have worked in some ways in concert with the Water Authority in your before retirement, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And consequently, I think you sort of know what some of those roles can entail. Do you want to tell us a little bit about why you're interested in serving on the Water Authority?
Well, I'm not bored in retirement yet. But I had been approached a couple years ago about joining the facility, and I felt my employment at the chamber may have been a conflict for some. I just told them to hold off, and if you have openings when I retire, then I'll consider. No, I'm enjoying retirement very much. Thank you. And I still play in the Repaz band as long as I behave, which is a good addition to the soul. And I have grandsons, so I've been babysitting quite a bit. And when this weather is cooperating, we're dealing with all the outside wonderful world that's out there. So no, I'm happy to not let my expertise expire in any way. I can still count to 10. I think that's still good, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to help out. I will not be attending the board meeting on Thursday, however.
Okay, the council meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
Well, then we'll represent that. Randy, what questions do you have for Nancy?
I don't really have any questions. I mean, she's eminently qualified, and desired by many on the water authority to have her there. So
I pay them well, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a high paying job.
Yeah, definitely a board that you want to buy your way onto.
No, I don't have any questions. Just we on council recognize that the water authority and the assets that they protect for our city and steward and take care of in every single way are so important to us and everybody that's in our community that's served by the water authority, water and sewer authority. It's just a precious resource that we have, and we recognize that. So we're always there to support the water authority in whatever way we can. So we're glad to have somebody like you on there as well.
Thank you. Hope that works out. I'm on the zoning board over here on Southside, so I do periodically dab in their world. So I thought I'd keep, across the river there and challenge everyone over there too.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
yeah.
I think we all need a little bit of that in our lives. So excellent. All right. Well, Randy and I will, I believe we'll represent you well on Thursday evening to the full body of council. Thanks very much for coming and talking to us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And we will, I will be looking forward to your service on the Water Authority, and I certainly hope Thursday's vote reflects that. So, so thank you for being willing to serve. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to item number 2, a resolution authorizing the execution of agreement between Dewberry and the city for the Willow Street subsurface. Mayor Slaughter, is Bill on here too, or you doing this?
He's not today, but he'll be there Thursday to talk about the technical aspects of it. We're tag teaming this one, so to speak. But so this resolution before you is execution agreement between Dewberry and the city. Dewberry's already been engaged with Willow Street. This is now they're ready to quote unquote start doing work. This is all part of the grant that we've had for Willow Street for many years now. The subsurface utility exploration is sort of step 1, I guess, so to speak, as we start to get the work going. What they realize is there's a ton of utilities under the surface. And so as they start to do the work, they need to obviously know what utilities are located and where all they are located, what utilities we have. So this is, Dewberry, PennDOT, everyone is saying that they want to get going, but we really need to identify the utilities. And Randy probably can speak to that more so than me as well with his, what he did previously. So lots of utilities on Willow Street. We're ready to get rolling. And so this is, I guess, step 1, but Bill will be Thursday night and he can, and I believe Dewberry as well will have a representative to talk to the technical aspects of this.
Got it. Okay. Randy, anything you'd like to say about this?
No, I'm just glad it's going to proceed. The it's been on the the table for a long time. Yeah, and the utilities are where it always starts.
Mhm.
When we renew or do that kind of work. So yeah, no, I'm pleased to see that it's moving ahead.
Okay. So I guess my questions, which may well have to get moved forward to Thursday, Derek, are what was the initial? How much did we initially contract with Dewberry for to do the engineering and design for the Willow Street project?
I don't know if that off the top of my head, but I can definitely have that for
Okay,
Thursday.
because I mean our total budget is about $1 million, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and I have been wildly wrong about this before, like last Thursday or 2 Thursdays ago. But I for some reason I recollected the initial contract as being about 150 or something like that. So this would add an additional 56,000. I'm assuming that this will get us all the way to a biddable design for Willow Street, right?
From my understanding, that's correct. As they started to do the design and engineering, they didn't think the subsurface utility exploration would be necessary. But as they started to dive in more to it and realize that the amount of utilities that were there, all the engineers were in agreement that it's definitely needed, including PennDOT. So,
Yeah.
So having said that, so I just pulled up Dewberry's. It looks like 169,000.
Okay. I was under this time. All right. So this brings our total investment just in engineering to about 225,000. Yeah, 225. Yeah. And that does not include. I mean, like I said, you can just pass these questions along to Bill if you wanted to have a heads up, or I can try to. That does include them preparing bid documents and putting it out for bid, correct? That 169.
So, yes, but I'll confirm that.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I mean, I can totally, it both makes sense and doesn't make sense for a bunch of utilities to be buried in Willow Street, because all of the electrical stuff is above ground in that area. I'm a little surprised that there are that many utilities underground, but I would assume that at least gas and potentially cable, possibly, and water obviously are running under there probably in the back alley. And you don't, will there be somebody from Dewberry at the Thursday?
I believe so,
meeting?
yes.
Okay. Because I'm kind of curious. It says that they can't advance any design options without knowing what utilities are down there, but I am kind of curious then where they're at with the design. What we're sort of examining and what we're looking at. Seems to me they're just doing basically lighting and a new alley, right?
Yeah,
there's not
some streetscape, and I know the conversations that I think we've had collectively over the years is to make it's still got to have obviously car, but more of a pedestrian feel than a car feel.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think it's to be permeable, right?
Yes.
So the idea is that it's kind of a BMP, although I don't think we need one in that. I think we're on combined sewer, so it won't do us any good from a stormwater perspective. But so it's a permeable roadway that is usable by vehicles and presumably durable enough to be used by vehicles. Yeah, Randy, sorry. I'm like, where is my phone? Oh, I'm talking to you on it. If you could, I'll make a note here for myself. The other thing that I'd be curious about with this is if they have looked at the vehicular uses in that alley. I know that a lot of our alleys sustain a substantial amount of damage because garbage trucks use them for garbage collection. And that would probably seriously impact how you'd have to do a street construction there. Anyway, Got it. All right. Got it.
I've made note of all
Okay.
that. So I will pass that
Yeah,
along.
I'm trying to too. I'm just sorry that hadn't really occurred to me, but I'm just thinking like, wow, trying to design a pedestrian street that somehow or another also accommodates garbage trucks is a little bit of
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think, I am super excited about this project for a number of reasons, but, yeah, I guess also kind of concerned that we're going to wind up, a bit in the situation that we just wound up in with the band shell, which was, I think we initially had something like 200 to $220,000 to rebuild the band shell, and spent about a quarter of that, probably more than a quarter of that on engineering, and then determined that it actually was going to cost us $600,000 to do the work. So I'll be curious also to know what they think the final budget is for the actual reconstruction. I'm assuming that's probably part of their initial engineering contract too. And I'm assuming, I know that Bill's on tap for construction admin at the band shell. That contract that you're looking at for the 169,000, Derek, that doesn't include construction administration, does it?
I don't believe so, but I can double check that as well.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah, just none of that is me being opposed to engineering work that everybody that all parties agree is necessary, to determine what the utilities are and where they are. But I am just trying to kind of look at the project budget and figure out how much we're going to have left over to actually complete the project. And I would like to make sure that this is the final anticipated change order to their contract with us. Just because, I mean, but how we're looking at 4 or 5 blocks of Willow, I think. It's just market back to Basin, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So that's a substantial chunk of change just to figure out where the utilities are. So
I'm not sure if it's all the way to market, but maybe I'll double
pardon
check.
me?
I was wondering, I'm not if it goes all the way to market, but yeah, I think it does, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it goes all the way to market.
Yeah.
The issue that what we're going to have to find the money to deal with
Yeah.
whenever this part of the project is completed, and the money and or influence to deal with is convincing PennDOT that there should be a pedestrian crosswalk on Market there at Willow. And and so we obviously want to do whatever PennDOT thinks is necessary as part of it. You know what I mean? Like PennDOT needs to be kept happy because we want them to give us the go ahead on a pedestrian crosswalk at Market. But on the other hand, we also need to be trying to figure out the way that we're going to afford that, because I'm assuming it'll be on our time. But I mean, those crosswalks are not, if we were to do it the way that, say, Montoursville has done their crosswalks, that's not a super expensive, by streetscape standards, a super expensive option. But yeah. Oh, Derek, what are we looking at on Washington Boulevard? I know you said we'd gotten permission.
We did, and I think we can check with Bill Thursday night, but I think we've applied for the highway occupancy permit to get that rolling along. So I think that's moving along. I talked to Scott not too long ago about that. So I think that's progressing forward.
Okay, awesome. Great. Okay. Derek, since you got it in front of you, when did we let the original contract for the Willow Street design?
January 21st, 2021.
Okay, so Dewberry's been theoretically working on the design since 21?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, yes. I don't know how far along
Okay.
with it. Yeah, because we sort of, because there for a while, we were obviously with everything else happening in and around Old City. I know they were trying to coordinate everything in the 2-way on 4th, and so that we weren't cutting into the streets, a million times.
Yeah.
There's been some delays throughout with obviously the projects around there that are delayed, and where we stand and trying to coordinate design standards as well, so that one project doesn't look one way, streetscape one way, and then Willow looks completely different. So
Got
I
it.
know,
Mhm.
trying to between like Cumming College, Pine Ridge, Willow, the city,
Right.
John
Yeah.
Ryan, and everybody else coordinate and what makes sense and what the stakeholders in that, in that neighborhood want to see. So
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. It would be my observation, although I think we've already continued it down there, but that the streetscape that the city put in downtown is kind of a ludicrous waste of resources, and that we should not necessarily be looking to do a lot more of that. The concrete paver sort of things. It doesn't seem as though they're holding up exceptionally well. Um, uh, And yes, I probably voted multiple times to put in sections of that streetscape, Randy. I'm pretty sure we both did.
Yeah.
um,
We did,
but
yes.
we sort of, I guess what I'm saying is we sort of chose a style and went with it. And multiple times we sort of were like, okay, yeah, let's put streetscape in here too. We'll do the same thing. If it is something that we are considering, if there's still some flexibility in there, I would encourage us to look at something that it will be a little bit easier for us to maintain. Because just looking at the way that the streetscape that we've put in downtown is holding up, I think there's going to be some maintenance costs upcoming here shortly, and I don't know that any of us are in a position to foot the bill for those. And certainly I don't think the downtown merchants are particularly either, even though it will theoretically fall to them, when it starts to deteriorate.
another
I
part
think,
of the equation too is the green light go we got for 4th and Mulberry intersection. So just
Yeah.
trying to have
yeah,
all the different pieces all as much as possible, sort of simultaneously. And
yeah, there's a lot going on down there.
yeah, right. So I think
And I don't, is Dewberry was doing the work for Lycoming College, right?
that I'm not sure.
It seems to me that was the part of the reason that we initially awarded them a contract for Willow, though I could be wrong.
It could be. Yeah,
I thought they were involved with Lycoming, and so they were sort of doing a bunch of the work in there, and we thought that this would help make it
Right.
simpler. But I might be wrong. Anyway, yeah, there's certainly a lot of moving parts in that neighborhood right now, but it is nice to see some of those things at least beginning to come to fruition down there. John Ryan is certainly a real, pretty remarkable edifice. I'm very impressed with the work they did on that. Anyway, okay. Randy, do you have any other questions?
No, I just, hopefully, when they dig into this, not the actual digging, but investigate for the location of these utilities, that possibly there won't be nearly as many as they think might be there. I mean, till they get the one calls done and get all that information from each utility, which they haven't done yet. So there's no way to tell what's there, but I can't imagine they ran a lot through there, because it just seems to me most of them were out in the streets. When we redid East 3rd Street, rather, that's where they were. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and all the power lines are overhead down there, yeah, right?
yeah,
I mean, I'm
right.
actually thinking that this would be, if there were a whole bunch more money on the table, an excellent opportunity to put some of them underground. And Pat Marty, who is not in this meeting but is out there somewhere, undoubtedly still going off about overhead utilities.
Right, yeah.
That would require, I think, a pretty huge grant from somebody to make that happen, because there is just no way that we could afford to bury all the power lines up in that neighborhood.
Right.
But it certainly makes it.
I think we will have some good news here soon about that we might be able to do a little bit of that work. So
Okay. Well, that'd be great, because it really is unsightly. And then, of course, where you have PP&L overhead lines. You have issues with what trees you can plant and how, how they can grow. And then just when they're looking really lovely, PPL comes through and cuts them up to make way for the power lines. And, so
That's
it would be
true.
an advantage from a number of perspectives for the neighborhood, I think nobody would agree with me more on that than Pat, since he, I believe, owns a number of properties in that neighborhood. But yeah, but I don't know that would be that'd be possible for us to do down there. But it is always something that we should be thinking about when we're doing projects of this nature. Okay, all right. I don't think. Certainly, we'll have some questions for Dewberry coming up, but I don't think we have anything else that we need to cover right now. Randy, unless you do.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Then, Mayor, thanks very much for your time. We're getting you out plenty of time to make your meeting, right?
All right. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Okay, thanks. All right. Item number 3, a resolution for renewal of antivirus software. Chris?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is resolution for the renewal of our current antivirus software. It's from a company called Sophos. It's for a total of $8,776 for a 5-year term. I did go out to a couple of other companies to get pricing from them. This is better than both price-wise and term-wise that I was able to get from at least 2 other companies.
All right.
I'm happy with the product. It does what I need when I want it to. And instead of putting in a whole new system, I just have to copy and paste 2 license keys.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes is done.
And you say you did get 3 quotes on this, Chris, so we can
Yes,
rest
I
assured.
did. Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's coming out of, I did not have this budgeted, but I was able to save enough money on some other things that this will come out of contracted services. And then I will start putting it into capital project. So it is budgeted for down the road.
Great.
Okay.
So we've got the total amount due for this year looks like it'll be about $3,000. Is that right?
No, it's one-time payment of $87.76. And then
Okay.
it's good for
got it.
5 years.
Got it. Okay. And the new item we're getting, is that just 1 new server?
No.
Sorry.
No.
What's the?
This
I'm
is just
confused.
renewal of the current software that we're using.
Okay. So the resolution where it says new item.
For them,
Yeah.
it's a new item for the vendor that we're going through. It's a new item for them. That's why
Okay.
there's no description, like in item number 1, it says Sophos CIXA, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
the second one, for them, they just have new item and there's a placeholder because it's a
Okay.
new item for CDWG.
Got it.
Yeah, no, we're not getting anything new.
Okay. I was like, are we going to need to replace that again in 5 years? Is that?
No.
Which I wouldn't be surprised by, given, in the tech world.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Randy, any questions from you?
No, I like the long term, so
Yeah.
That's
The
awesome.
next closest I could get was 3 years.
yeah.
Yeah. And what was our outgoing contract with them?
I don't know. That was put in place before me. And it was 5 years as well.
But we don't know what the amount of money was per year.
Correct.
Okay.
I had even difficulty finding out who actually sold it to us. Because you don't buy directly from Sophos. You buy through a third-party vendor like CDWG or Vantage or something like that.
Okay. So you knew it was Sophos antivirus, but you did not know what.
Who we bought it through, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. And they can't tell us what they charged us?
Really, I didn't ask.
Oh, okay.
I went back through, our finance department. They don't have any record of it.
Hmm.
So
Okay. I think the only reason that I'm curious is that we have a number of contracts out there for different items, and knowing how much the price increased on this item might give us some sort of window into what increases we're likely to see elsewhere as we look to
I'm
re-up.
gonna try to, put in capital $2,500 per year.
Mhm.
So at the end of 5 years, there's 12.5 in there, which should be
Okay.
more. I mean, that's almost 50% more than what's currently outlaid.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, no, I think that will cover us. I guess I'm just, because we have a number of contracts like this out there, and we're not, it's the awkward thing where like we can't stop doing any of these services necessarily, you know what I mean? So we are somewhat subject to what the market's charging. I think it pays for us to have some idea of what the
Right.
increases are, right? We can't stop having antivirus software. So
Yeah, our cyber insurance would go through the roof.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's just it's an interesting new twist, I suppose. We all know that the cost of anything when you need to replace it goes up, and that, right.
Yep.
Likewise, we have to get new filters for the pool, and we have to get new this, and we have to get new that. But there's some value to understanding how costs are inflating over time. Anyway, thanks, Chris. Randy, if you don't have anything else that you're
No, I don't.
interested in, we can move on. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Last action, well, non-action item on our agenda is Gary, a resolution to authorize installation of a directional sign within the city's right of way. And Grant, and hang on a minute while I pull up the actual.
And
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah. Anyway, and grant an associated permit. What can you tell us, Gary?
yeah, what this is obviously is it's a resolution. I did speak, Austin and I did speak on this. FemFest 16 Manor Street Common LLC is requesting to place a vehicular directional sign within the city's right of way. Austin and I felt versus going through a easement agreement. Basically, this is a normal procedure that has been done. And what we're going to do is obviously, providing that council approves this, we are putting the signage within the right of way. It won't interfere with anybody's line of sight. It won't interfere with anybody's ability to walk or driving within that area. This is actually, it's a lower portion there at the light where the Sheets is currently located there on Maynard Street. So what they're going to do is they're going to place this directional sign down there. And what this does is allows us, it's just more or less letting council know and the administration know that I'm going to issue a sign within the city's right of way. It will be required to meet the building code requirements. They do have a permit applied for it. We will issue that permit, and every 5 years it will be required to be renewed. What we will do, obviously, as a code department, will go out, make sure it's still stable, it's still meeting the building code requirement, and they will apply for a new one every 5 years. It will not come back before council. But initially, Austin thought because we're placing it in a right of way, it's just something that's a resolution the council should be aware because it is being placed in the city's right of way.
Yeah. And
this is actually all
yes.
part.
Pardon?
This is all part of. Wow, this is all part of the Wawa land development plan.
Right. All right, Randy, what have you got question-wise?
I did provide you with a sketch, and at the
Yeah.
very bottom, if you realistically look, it's off of Maynard Street below I want to say it's the Fairfield Inn. There,
Okay.
that is the city's right of way. Okay, that goes out through there. So it'll be south of the Fairfield Inn, and that's where they'll enter off. So they're at the light on
I see.
Maynard Street.
Okay.
They'll be able to turn right in there and then
Yes.
go up to an access drive, which obviously was on the land development that city council did approve.
Right.
It'll be
Yep.
just located right there. It won't interfere with the line of sight or anything like that, but it is being
Mhm.
placed in the city's right of way. And Austin and I did review it versus taking out an easement agreement, which basically gives them that area. This is just merely saying that we're allowing them to place a sign there. Every 5 years, we're going to basically review that permit and make sure that the structure is sound, giving Wawa the opportunity to basically fix any repairs that may need to be repaired. And we would issue them another
Right.
for that.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be an obstruction of any kind. So,
Yeah, I mean, so it will be on the corner at the light, correct, Gary?
No, it will not be. It will be, if you look at it, and I believe on the one sheet, the 11 by 8, 11 by 17 that I provided to you, if you drop all the way down to that gray, that's that drive
Yes.
access. So it will actually be to the rear of
right.
Okay, so that, okay, okay, never mind, yeah. So they will turn back there and then it'll be, on the city's, on this, basically within the city's right of way, just off the street there. And, okay.
Is that a two-way access?
Yes, that
In and
is.
out?
It is a fairly wide. I want to say it's probably a good 20 to 30 foot right away that's there.
Okay.
So there is direct way that's coming out.
It's actually 50-foot right away, Gary, but the actual driveway is 30 feet from curb line to curb line. So it's a relatively wide driveway for access as kind of a fallback to get back to the Wawa.
Right.
And just to be clear, I mean, I think we discussed this, vehicles will also be able to turn directly in and out of the Wawa off of Maynard.
That is correct.
I mean, I'm looking at the, so this is just kind of a secondary access point. Anyway, I mean, the sign is only about 2 feet wide. How high? Sorry, I should have just looked at that number, but I did not.
Chad.
Yeah, it's just over 4 square feet total. So yeah, it's less than 2 feet high and it's 2 feet wide. That's correct. It's relatively, I mean, it's small. It's relatively small. It's really just a directional sign to say, hey, listen, here's your turn. As people are driving down the city's lane that goes back to Wire Road.
Right. Got it. All right. That doesn't seem like a major issue. Gary, I assume at this point there's no fee associated with that permit or anything like that, correct?
Yeah, there will be a fee. Like I said, once providing council approves that, they would actually already have in place and have applied for the building and zoning permit in order to install that there. So we do have the drawings and everything like that. There is a fee involved with that.
Okay. Mamma mia. But I would agree with Austin and with you that I think this is probably the best process. I'd be more comfortable with this than like a general easement that grants them kind of ownership of the corner. Obviously they're not granting Wawa any sort of anything that would make any of the other businesses in that corridor feel like we hadn't been similarly permissive with them, correct?
This is standard what we've done in the past.
Okay, got it. All right, yeah, that's all the questions I have. Randy, anything else from you?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. And Wawa's in charge of all the installation elements, including it looks as though it's a lit sign, so they'll be in charge of running electrical to it and all of that.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, what we'll do is once we do issue the building and zoning permit for that, when they begin, we'll go out and obviously inspect the depth of basically the footers. We'll go out and inspect electrical to make sure it meets the code compliant and everything. And at that point, we'll close out the permit once it's completely installed and meets all building and zoning requirements.
Got it. All right. And if it were to be damaged, it falls to them, as we discussed, to do any repairs.
That is correct. Like I said, what it does is obviously it's an engineer's sign, so it should hold up. But what it does is they're requiring every 5 years to come in and reapply for a new permit. This is only like a 5-year permit versus a permanent. Gives us the ability to say, hey, it's because of wind load or something like that's changed and it's falling over or it's deteriorating. Then it gives Wawa the opportunity to make those corrections so that we can issue the permit after the end of the 5 years.
Got it. And if for some reason, not that this is likely to happen, but there were to be some sort of like the sign were to become truly derelict, could we revoke the permit mid-cycle?
As a building and zoning permit, we do have the ability to revoke those, providing it does not meet the building and code requirements.
Okay. All right. That's everything. Thanks, Gary.
Yep. You're welcome.
All right. Randy, if I don't hear anything further from you, then we can move on. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Chad, by the way, for attending today's meeting.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the final item on our agenda is any related items. There aren't many of us left here to introduce anything related to financial matters. Does anyone have anything else to bring to light? Gary,
good.
what's that?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. I've got one real quick random question. Just looking
No
at
question Tuesday.
what's that? No question
No
Tuesday.
question
No.
Tuesday.
This is not a question you're going to answer right now anyway. But I've just been reading a bunch of stuff about communities revisiting parking requirements to attempt to kind of encourage infill development. What kind of things are you hearing about, like specifically the CBD's like zero parking requirement? Are we thinking about revisiting that? And then are we thinking about revisiting any larger parking requirements we might have in other zoning, and other types of zones that might be prohibiting development there? Is that anything that we've been discussing recently?
Yeah, it's just something that we've been looking at. I know we modified the ordinance within the CBD, within the CS zones, as far as parking requirements based off of square footage of facilities and stuff like that. We're trying to cut down on the footprint. Obviously, in some of the bigger developments that you go into, you see, some of the parking lots may be, they're not utilized, a lot of it. So we're looking, we looked at some of that. I know planning has been several times looking at some of the studies that you're seeing. I know a lot of them are coming out of the Midwest that I have seen as far as parking, reducing the footprint, that type of thing. So it's something that planning has been following and monitoring at this time. And if we feel that there's something that we could better suit the city, then at that point we can start bringing that to like ERC and things of that nature.
Okay. Yeah, just it seems to be kind of a hot button topic, so it would be, yeah. And I don't feel that that we're having issues with that in the city right now, but I guess I'm just curious, as we've all observed, the problems that the rest of the country has tend to come to Williamsport about 10 years later. So it might be a good time for us to start looking at the affordable housing question and maybe the parking question in light of the fact that it's given everybody else trouble now and we can get out ahead of it here yet. Anyway, we can pursue that at some other point, but I just happened to be thinking about it in light of Wawa's parking and all that. So, all right, that's everything. If I hear nothing further, Randy, I take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. I'll see everybody on Thursday. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Take care,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.